Greetings, I'm joining us. Tonight's episode. So this is Egypt, the Great Pyramid Void. Basically, it's I don't know if it's the King's Chamber or what, I don't remember. But anyway, it's a hard place to get to. If you've been there, let me know. Speaking of places hard to get to, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it, Lepus Constellation. That's the rabbit constellation. Basically, that's a place where rabbit people are. And then the Kansas Major, it's in Sirius. That's where the dog people are, and they're right next to each other. And if you want to go to, if you want to travel to Orion, it'll only take you something around 13 million years to get there. If I read that right, let me check that again just to make sure. Because I know some of you want to go there. Yeah, only 13 million years. That's right. So, yeah, I think I left something out there. So if you get there, let me know. I left my key. I left my car keys out there. So if you ever get out there, let me know. It's only 13 million years. That's okay. Alien contact right down. It's like right around the corner. So, yeah, they made sure they're far away from us, didn't they? So Lepus, if I'm even pronouncing that right, is right by Orion. It's right around Orion's foot. So, just why I'm connected to it, just because I don't think I have in the past. So I haven't done one of these in a long time. So yeah, the world is doing what the world does. Let's see, I don't know, predicting this week, or I don't know, it just seems kind of stale. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Propaganda week as usual. Propaganda planet. Just take it in. It's the best we can. Orion. Yeah, there's a lot of android beings there. There's a lot of insectoid beings for sure. You can say they're one of the early, human is not exactly the more dominant species. Insectoids pretty high up there. Felines, canines, we're the little people when it comes to insectoid beings. So, I believe also in some of these worlds there is parts of our reality, not some of them. Like there might be a dimension where it's the 1960s, and some of them, it's not exactly like ours. It's their version of it, but it doesn't mean it's physical. It can be non-physical, but they might have certain attributes that are similar. So, like the 1960s, but with a bunch of gray beings or alien beings, feline beings, canine beings. It can be 1950s, can be 1920s. Usually in the higher dimensions, but some of them can be also physical realities too. We're just not aware of it because we have to get it. We have to figure ourselves out, whatever that means. So the Great Pyramid, I'm not sure why that showed up, but we're going to dive into it anyway. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, I feel a lot of presence around figures. Everything's fine until I do, especially about the pyramids and everything. I don't know if I'm going to get a visitation after this. I guess we'll find out. Visitation from the cone heads. So I'm talking about private sessions as scheduler. At the shop, I'm going as slow as possible. In early January, I think I might be on the 6th or something like that, the 5th. I just got into January, and January is going away. Same situation here. We have the schedule for the webinar. We have social networking behind the scenes. Not done yet. And then So anyway, this is the void. It's hard to get to apparently. I don't know. I haven't been there. I'm just going by what they say. Yeah, the big void. There's a small void. We're connected to the big void. Not saying what is there. I'm not doing that. I'm basically just connected to the Great Pyramid. Okay, yeah, the King's Chamber. I don't do any. I don't do much Egyptian stuff. Just because, isn't that a nice shot? Nice Instagram there. There's the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Lepus. Constellation, and you have Sirius right next to it. So, Taurus and and so on. So just you're better humanity, better ourselves. Queen behind our ears. Where did that come from? That's the insectoid that just came through it with that one. So, all right, I'll do Egyptian energies. We're going to try and make this as bizarre as possible. So if you have people that like normal things, you might want them to leave the room. Squirt them out. Put on some football or something like that. Or it might be the latest Marvel movie. That's kind of just don't make them like they used to. Anyway, all right. Here we go. Blessings. Anything else? That's it. Okay, more blessings. And it might be other beings that come through also. We'll see where things go with that. All right, blessings. Greetings. We are the Egyptians. Of course, there's a lot humanity has lost, forgotten, amnesia due to plagues. Of course, war with the Romans. Much was going to be kept through Alexandria, but there was also other libraries similar to Alexandria, but they've been blacked out. The pyramids is always meant to be open for everyone, but due to the pharaohs moving in, obviously they put their selfish needs ahead of everyone, which is connected to your elite, which is, yes, connected to your U.S. presidents, was also connected to your Queen of England. As your Egyptian, not everything is connected to Egypt, but quite a bit of it is. While the impaler energy is connected to Egypt, the influences, and done in a way that's so particular. It's like a science to how to create a timeline of reality. Done in such a way, yes, your Princess Diana was a rebellious one, even in some ways connected to Cleopatra in her own regard. But it also shows that the royal war is needed to be made clear. Well, they're not perfect, but also there's cracks in the system. Also shows that corruption can't hide itself forever. And in ancient Egypt, it was not exactly the same, but there were similarities within family groups. But of course, magic was more used, spells, and of course, with snakes being used to kill. But the void, yes, for us to bring it up, it's not really our place to say what's there. There are energies of Atlantis in some of these places. Your Egyptian government knows more than they are saying. This is obvious. There's different types of Egyptian government. There's your public version, and then there's your shadow version, of course. the shadow version, is scattered much of the Egyptian energies around. Well, a lot of that was to distort the story, made things kind of convoluted, more complicated. It's like with all these museums, of course, they're connected to the elite also. I mean, who can afford things like that? They're not just going to give these artifacts to anybody. It has to be within the families. And of course, they're not going to talk about it very much. So all your ancient museums obviously are run by elitists that are here to distort the story to even create a narrative. So if they're all agreeing upon the story of Egypt, for example, because they're all having the artifacts, it gives the story a little bit more strength, even if many of you don't believe it or whatever it might be. But it does keep the energies of the third dimension continuing to go on. There's a spell on humanity, as you can see. It's not here to unravel itself, not here to free it, not yet. Whereas too many agendas of what can we do to this human race that hasn't been done on other planets. So a lot of their stories, the manipulations have been done on other worlds, but not at this scale, not all at once. So they're taking manipulations from all these different worlds and you're just throwing at your society one after the other. We've been doing this for some time. Now you're going through a technology bureaucracy that hasn't gone into the age of machines just yet, at least the robots reality is not just yet. Well, they want to keep it organic as long as possible. So, of course, there'll be AI energies here and there, but for the most part, be primitive in your reality. Of course, it's being more advanced in other realities, but for yours, I mean, at least publicly, to keep it, yes, and also people to become more reliant on artificial intelligence. And yes, to be like a drug addict, drugs, the technology drug, addicted to the machine. And of course, there's all these different addictions, but that's one way to keep the vibration going, as you know. According to trickster energies, your Egypt had probably the most trickster energies of any civilization, distorting reality, burying it, literally burying, even destroying it for good reason. Because the higher frequencies, the trickster beings came here to shut down the higher frequencies as much as possible to make this world as physical as ever. So, of course, in the higher dimensions, you see Egypt at more of a fourth and fifth dimension frequency. You can see your pyramid fly in the higher dimensions. You can see it very colorful, even spins in the sky, does all kinds of things. Of course, when it becomes physical, it has a different purpose. And as you can see, the story, much of the Orions had a lot to do with the story that's been told to you. So eventually that will start to unravel. There's a lot of inner healing for humanity that has not been connected to. Also, Egypt is very connected to the Congo. Some of it, yes, is connected to your Grand Canyon. Yes, there are pieces of that. There's also ancient civilizations in your Grand Canyon that have not been mentioned for obvious reasons. Those things are difficult for even us to mention, but use your intuition for places like that. Back in the history, Earth's history, it was easier to travel. Yes, Bermuda Triangle also is, you can say it was artificially made for various different reasons. Go to other worlds, easier. Atlantean energies, in the beginning, it was for positive. Obviously, it was used for negative. It has been closed. Now, others may be able to activate portions of it, but it has been closed for the most part. If your Bermuda Triangle and also the portals around Sedona and around your England to be fully activated to a higher frequency, you will see more ships here. You'll see more activity. Even your government can't shut everything down. Of course, your other dimensions can, but it's basically treaties to keep things calm here for the most part, at least on an alien level, as humans are still developing themselves. There's also, yes, as you probably know, canine people that are here. They're incarnated as human, but they're canine people. And they have a trouble of ascending, at least into the higher frequencies. Many canine people like the physical realm. And you see the dogs here, they enjoy it quite a bit. Of course, they can see the higher frequencies, but they're also here to connect with man, to be man's best friend, and so on. So, not that this is a negative, but a lot of canine beings is one of the reasons why the physical realm is still continuing. Well, they came here obviously to heal the human through all the violence the humans go through, catastrophes. There's always a dog that will show up. Those, yes, people that can't be alone. Usually it's alien people that can't be alone normally. If you came from alien, or you're just not likable. And that can be any species. A lot of reptilian beings are not likable. It all depends. Some are, of course, archon beings, but a lot of animals don't like archon beings. It all depends. Some archon beings are very friendly, but some archon beings are from hell itself. And even dogs can't handle that frequency. That's why some dogs do bite people violently. Sometimes it has to do with a family member that's just toxic. Such as the pit bull. The pit bull is of course, the pit bull has been genetically modified in many different ways. It's not necessarily like a natural dog. Some are, a lot of them aren't. Some of them have been really mentally screwed with. So they're not seeing things well, and especially when they're being abused, they're obviously going to act differently. So, of course, Sirius has in Egypt has a lot of canine frequencies. That was more of the higher dimensions, but as humanity became more third dimension, more of the canine beings adapted to the physical realms and just learned how to connect with humans. Without canines, without cats, without much of your animals, the human race probably would not have survived this world. As some of you can probably agree with that. Just having the animals here keeps the vibration going. You see a zebra, it's like, wow, that's really cool. See an ostrich, be careful of that guy, but that's cool also. So, of course, the Egyptian frequencies are, yes, the grandkids, you could say, of Atlantis, but a lot of the Egyptian frequencies in the early were more of your wizardry of Egypt. There are worlds that are Egyptian. They don't call it Egypt, but there's all Egyptian planet, which many of you come from. Why you're so fascinated by Egyptian hieroglyphs in those worlds? Because you came from those places, usually from Sirius, but Orion has their own Egyptian worlds also. They see it on one world, they take it to theirs. Or they take the idea, the projection, whatever it might be. Or they just take the statues themselves. It all depends on the alien frequency that's there. What's this? Greetings. We are the Lepus constant. We are the rabbit people. Yes, we are rare, always channeled. We like your world. We have worlds similar to yours, not to this extent, but worlds where we like to shake things up. Yes, why have a world of all positivity when you can have a little bit of chaos? Maybe everywhere. You can't trust the food. Those are, yes, hard worlds, definitely. We definitely have third dimensional planets that humans here probably have a difficulty to see. Some of you might say, wow, that's an episode from Star Trek. The bunny people. I think they erased that episode. They're missing out. Maybe a little bit too cartoonish for your reality. But you have rabbit people here in your incarnations. Some of them are singers. Some of them are a pain in the ass. Some of them are time travelers. Time traveling and rabbits do fit very well. Time traveling rabbit is not. It's normal. Even like a wool rabbit. You see a symbol of course, there's psychedelic rabbits that are everywhere. And they like being bizarre. They don't have to say anything, they just show up. Was it Johnny Darko? Something like that? Yes, they like to not show off, but, well, some don't like to show off. Some just, they have a message and they have this. They don't speak any language, they speak their own language. Some of them make sure they don't have languages that other alien beings can connect to. So we're going to be as bizarre as possible. It's like speaking in code. It's up for the civilization to understand that code. And that goes for your world and other planets. So basically, you're speaking from an astral point of view. If you see a rabbit being, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it just shows that you're going through a change of some kind. We're rare to show up in dreams usually. But yes, when you have a time traveling rabbit, it shows you're not alone in what you're traveling, but you are going deeper within your own consciousness, a place they're not used to. If you see a ferret being, any type of animal being, you're going to somewhere that you're just not. If you're used to dogs and cats and always have a dream of a rabbit, it shows you're going somewhere else. Our connections to your world, yes, just we're here for balance. We're also hybridization programs. Dog, the cats have all been integrated into each other's frequency. Humans are still having trouble loving themselves, as you can see. But our energy fields are, symbolic. We are, transfer of energy from one world to another. Basically, we connect to our constellation, so you definitely are traveling astrally for sure. Of course, when you think it, you're just there. Just like that. Like any place else. But these constellations that are around you still have not been fully explored astrally by all of your members of humans. Usually humans stay stuck here in your world. In the abyss solar system. Well, there's Uranus. The planet Uranus still has a lot of grounding to do on this planet. Yes, some of these planets are gateways to other star systems, such as our star system. And they're bringing unwanted vibrations. But Uranus is technically like a astral planet. Jupiter also, but Uranus is very unique. It's just astral frequencies. You can connect those energies and also use it for healing modalities also. Not your normal planet for healing, but you'd be surprised of its intake. That's all we have at this time. Blessings. Greetings. We are the Canines. I believe your rabbit people are saying that they take politicians on a ride. It's like if you imagine you're on a spaceship with a politician and there's a rabbit driving your spaceship. That's unique. As canine beings, many of us are kind of serious beings, especially when it comes to your world, especially how canines are being treated on your planet. There's a lot of misunderstanding. Canines are the best psychologists your world will ever see. Yes, they might be dopey, childish, but they open up the inner child within the person and know exactly what the person needs usually. Normally, if the chemistry is right. Basically, a canine means like a brother, sister, even a cat. Some canine beings, they can. A canine is also translucent. It can turn into anything, meaning it's still a canine being, but it can channel the vibrations of any family member or any animal, a fish. It's like your your counselor for your home, basically. Doesn't have to say anything. It just does its thing. But canine worlds are, yes, sometimes more like complicated planets. Yes, not all canines get along, especially because our interaction with your world. It's controversial for us to even be here. And like for any alien species to help any race what you're going through, yeah, canine beings we go through. And one of the reasons why the werewolf was created was because how we are assisting your world. It's kind of like putting a curse on a dog. And some dogs aren't always thinking right. Some dogs aren't always taking care of well due to the food that's here. It's like, yes, canine beings aren't exactly, the food is not helping them be healthier. There's a lot of details, but also understand the psychology of a dog, how much it's truly helping a family unit. Uh, Families with kids, families without kids, doesn't really matter, or a single person. The canine frequency just fills up a home with love and eventually be fully understood over time. But this is, and of course, dogs can be, a lot of the males have, of course, you have the poodle that's like a supermodel on your planet. But of course, you have German Shepherd. German Shepherds are normally security guards. Of course, usually in law enforcement of some kind. Usually the good guy. The Dobermans are usually like the boss. Sometimes they're friendly, but a lot of times they're not. Sometimes they're the villain. Sometimes they're gangsters. It all depends. Al Capone is more of a what is it? They're not showing. It's yeah, they're not showing us who it is, but either way, he's a dog also, as you can see. Yes, it's being blocked right now. So yes, deciphering who's a cat and who's a dog on your planet will eventually become more clear. Canines are, yes, are comedians also, but sometimes comedians can go too far, especially the sexual jokes and things like that. They're not ones to hold back. Well, usually canine beings are usually, they're dogs, so some of them are dogs, rude. Some of them are. Well, they're just trying to show who they are. Of course, on your world, you have different types of rules. I'm not quite fixated on what type of rules. Sometimes they forget what world they're on. It's like, oh, I'm on a human world. I can't expose myself like I normally do. Well, you see animals here, they expose themselves all the time. But they're animals. Because when an animal incarnates as a person, they feel that they can continue to do the same thing. Bill Clinton's a dog. Not a good dog, no. Epstein is more of like a reptilian being. Well, we're in a dog factory, so Hillary Clinton, werewolf. We're not going to go into that. But our planet it's far away, but it's also close because there's so many canine beings here. We keep an eye on your planet. Of course, like the felines, canines aren't normally feel like they need to say anything. We say it through the animals that are here. Some of us are scientists also. Tesla is kind of like a canine being. He's a little bit of a mixture of different beings. You have some canine there. To be a little bit flamboyant, to talk, to present, to be talkative. Usually canine beings are known to be talkative for the most part. Cats are normally be like, I'll see you in astral. Usually. It depends. But canine beings are just like, yes, they're known to be what's flashers. They just exposing themselves all the time. They're known to be like that, just to let you know. They have no problem showing themselves. They have no problem being naked and things like that, just to let you know. So if that just happened, just minding all business, like a naked person just flashed me, it's like, yeah, that's why. So, oh yes, Al Capone, a bulldog, a Rottweiler also, but bulldog. So, Alright, blessings to you.